Today, we're looking at an orange ink by Sailor Kin Mokusei. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the orange ink playlist if you'd like to see more of them. I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, definitely shades as Sailor goes darker to lighter to darker. Mokusei is much darker than most of Sailor. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, some very nice shading. Look at over going darker to lighter to darker to lighter to darker. Brown starts dark, works its way light and dark again at the end, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, very nice shading, quick going darker to lighter to darker, brown going darker to lighter, fox going lighter to darker, 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both do show some color variation, much better in the writing, and the smear test you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Lamy Safari with a 1.5 stub was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, not as dark as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 19 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no real color variation, and we're really not getting it up there. And the smear test, you could not recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see is this very light pink at the bottom that is pushing its way up, and then this neat orange and a nice yellow across the top. Now there is an orange line all the way at the very top of this particular. Interesting. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water. And for the most part, it very much looks the same. Like I could have done 100 chromatographies and probably wound up with this one just as easily as I got the first one. I'm not expecting a lot of resistance for this ink, but it does show how complex it is and where some of that really nice shading's coming from. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, it does shade. Look at the, much darker than the word over. And over goes light to dark. Brown goes dark to light. 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine. No feather spread, halo sheen, it does shade. Quick goes darker to lighter to darker. The goes lighter to darker. Brown goes a little lighter, a little darker, a little lighter. 14 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both don't show nearly the color variation that we get in the writing. And the smear test, you could definitely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, the blowout in a lowercase h might make me not want to use it if I need to go back and highlight when I'm taking notes. Water is reactivating. You see some of the white of the paper on the bottom edge of that dot where it's really lifting it up off the page. Pen Flush does everything that water does and nothing more, which is why it only took water to get this out of my pen. 1/3 bleach solution, you're not going to need it, but it completely obliterates it. The next writing sample is done on G Lalo paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread halo sheen. It does offer some spots of shading where brown starts darker and gets lighter. Quick goes lighter to darker. The goes light to dark to light, over light to dark. 2 seconds to dry. I think this really is a nice standout color on this gray paper. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread halo sheen and some very nice shading as brown goes dark to light, fox goes light to dark, 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both don't show nearly the color variation that we actually get in the writing, but the smear test, you could not recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Sailor's Kin Mokusei has a viscosity of 1.18, making this a ridiculously wet ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity and all of that's done, then down in the description is a link to that video. Now let's get into the next writing sample done on original Crown Mill paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread halo sheen. It definitely shades as Sailor goes darker to lighter to darker. Extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread halo sheen, decent shading as Quick goes dark to light to dark. The goes light to dark to light. I said light. I should probably say darker. It just works its way light to much darker all the way across. Got ahead of myself because brown goes dark to light. 3 seconds to dry. Medium is just a tad darker than the extra fine, not nearly as dark as the stub. With no feather spread halo sheen, it does shade. Over goes lighter to darker. The goes lighter to darker. Quick goes dark, light, dark. 7 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show very little color variation because the scrubby lies. It's not too bad in the writing, but the smear test, there's a maybe you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Sailor's Kin Mokusei has an average dry time of 12 seconds, making it a bit faster drying than normal. The last writing sample is done on Limon paper. This is not typically known for me as being a very fountain pen friendly paper, but we only see a couple light bleed spots. Nothing that would stop you from using the back of the page, and we have no real ghosting, so it's performing very well here. The 1.1 has light feathering the whole way through, especially in the Mokusei. Not so much in the Sailor. No spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub. No feathering, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. Very nice performance though. 2 seconds to dry. Medium is a little bit darker than a stub. Stub. Little bit darker than the extra fine. Nowhere near as dark as the stub. It has no feather spread, halo sheen. It does shade. Quick goes dark to light to dark. Fox goes dark to lighter to dark. The is a very dark a word looking next to over. 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows almost no color variation, although it's not too bad with the medium, and the smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Sailor's Kin Mokusei, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. To go with this really, really nice orange, I decided to go with a brown that's not going to draw any attention away from it. So I went with Atramentis William Shakespeare's dark brown. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to different color playlists. So what do I think of Sailor's Kin Mokusei? Sailor, as a brand, makes such good stuff. This has very nice shading. It has really good tone variation depending on the pen. This orange has a real standout quality. It just pops. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? A medium flow pen with any nib size really puts down a good tone with some very nice shading. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Mont Blanc's William Shakespeare.